Hello. Ye from me kwejo. Me free be kwae. Na so me adwuma e wo Flatbush, New York. Na de bia me adwuma nye sika. Na me pese me poni kakra koma me busuafo e wo Ghana. Na so me hu kwan a me mfa so.
Oh, Kwejo, I'm all around who cry. I day want to Jupe in Kana.
Jupe?
Aye, Jupe. Jupe ye a quite for a buy the first Somanisika. Every America at the Ghana. Now, I need you some a woman say Jupe Bema best rate on the market. $5 discount on your first transfer. 0 transfer charges. And a fee. Simple and instant value to bank account and mobile wallet. Not just say, go straight to your Momo account. After you know, so we refer or Biba Jupe. Not or shut us here as in this car. 1%. Ayo dear.
Jupe! Yay! What is the HSMO? Ghana from Wabrochire. Mufa Jupe ness and sika kwa mbusa for ewa Ghana. Uwa Ghana swa. Kacha mbusa for se omufa Jupe and seno sika embryo. Jupe! Number 1!
Good day once again. Welcome to MixMixx on your channel of choice, GH News Now. Last week, on the heels of the just ended National Democratic Congress's national executive elections, some little, bits and pieces of stories have been making the rounds. One of these is that former Member of Parliament for Kumbungu, is it? I'll get him to do the actual introduction himself. But one of the things that happened is that Ras Mubarak, who really needs no introduction, to be very honest with you, to the politics of Ghana and to the youth of Ghana, was in the studios of Onua TV, and there was some sort of unfortunate exchange that went on. Following this, there's been a lot of narrative on social media suggesting that the former Member of Parliament was disrespectful to the staff of Onua TV and was also trying to throw his weight about as well as dictate how his interview should go. To clear the air and to give his side of the story, on the line right now is Ras Mubarak. Ras, welcome to GH News Now, GH MixMixx. Thank you for making time with us.
Yeah, crazy. Greetings. Good afternoon.
And I deeply apologize for fluffing the name of your constituency. Please help us.
It is.
You were a former Member of Parliament for
Kumbungu.
I'm sorry.
Kumbungu.
Kumbungu. I was confusing that with Bungurubu Yo-Yo. I apologize for that.
Bungurubu Yo-Yo is in the northeast.
It is in the northeast. My sincere apologies. I should know my geography.
Kumbungu is in the northern region.
I apologize. Mubarak, Ras, what exactly happened in the studios of Onua TV?
Okay, so on Thursday, they had Thursday the 15th of December, they had invited me for a one-on-one interview. I got to the station only to see the former national chairman of the NDC, chairman of the arm of in the studio. I was taken aback, but because Chairman Ampofe is somebody I respect so much, I took it in my stride, because normally when you invite someone for an interview and it's a one-on-one session, if your plans had changed, it's just right and proper that you tell the guest that the plans have changed. So, long story short, we rescheduled the interview for Friday.
Just for clarification, though, Ras, Chairman Ofosuampofu was at the time chairman of your party. Why was it a problem that he was in the same space as you at the same time?
No, because I had been what the producer told me was that the one-on-one interview with me was going to be from 8:30 to 10. You know, so I was surprised that same time slot
had been allotted
to the national chairman of the NDC.
That's right.
You know, and to have allowed me to drive all the way from my house or wherever I was coming from, you know, to the studio, I thought was unfortunate. You know, so when I protested that it wasn't right and that it would be proper, since they had invited Chairman Ampofu to also give that same time slot to Asidun Ketia, who was our general secretary then, and so that, you know, some sense of fairness is brought. They agreed, but unfortunately Asidun Ketia could not even make it that Friday, the 16th. So I went there, and I had given them indication that I was the one who was going to be representing Asidun Ketia about 6 hours before broadcast time. Started the interview when I got there on Friday. They started the interview. Then somewhere along the line, they told me to recuse myself, you know, to come offset whilst they interview Yaweduse, who's also an aspirant for the national chairman of the party. I thought that was weird. I mean, in all my years of broadcast, and Kwesi, you've done this from the 90s. I've never seen a situation where a guest is being interviewed and then he's asked that he recuses himself, and then so that somebody else would be interviewed, and then he comes back. But I thought probably that's how they do their things.
Well, he said in a video that I watched that that's how he does his things. If he's on, he made the example that if somebody from the MPP, for instance, was in the studio and Nanado came in the studio, he was going to ask the person to get up and offer the seat. I find that a bit unconventional, but anyways, let's go on.
No, but that even shows how reckless the person is with broadcasting. What it means from what he said is that anybody can just walk into the studio and be asked to be granted an interview. Interviews are scheduled. So you wouldn't schedule an interview with somebody knowing very well that the president is also coming. If the president is coming, you give the person notice in advance so that the person can, you know, either not waste their time to be there or not. But as I was saying, along the way, so he asked Yahweh decided to come, you know, to be interviewed. You know, and because we were a day away, because on any other day I would have just driven home. We were a day away from the elections, and I was paying attention to the optics of my actions. You know, I was going there to represent a candidate. We had done so much work, night and days of campaigning. You know, we weren't going to throw all of that away because of some issue at the radio station. You know, so I exercised patience, and when they finished the interview with the gentleman, I came back on. Now, so there was this lady who was in the studio as well. Subsequently, I hear he says she's also a presenter. While he was interviewing me, the lady kept heckling. It went on for about 20 minutes. You know, she was saying stuff like, message. While I was, you know, responding to questions.
Hold on a second. First of all, the video that I watched again suggested that the lady that you referred to, first of all, Captain Smart said the lady is not a makeup artist. He said the lady is a journalist, a colleague journalist. Now, he says that colleague journalist, one second, Russ. He says that colleague journalist was speaking to him over the intercom, which was in his ears. That's the impression he gave everybody. Is that what was happening?
I don't expect such a character to speak the truth, because she was seated next to me, actually. You know, she wasn't speaking through any device. She was actually responding to everything I was saying. Mundi message. I mean, how is Mundi message, you know, a response or a message to him, the presenter? You know, so the comments were incessant. They continued for about 20 minutes, and I thought, look, this is it. And when I tried to draw his attention to what the lady was doing, he rather, flared up, getting angry and throwing tantrums here and there. So if you asked, that is actually what had happened. But I have responded, in a Facebook Live broadcast yesterday, because I thought I should set the record straight. And,
so Ras, who invited you there in the first place? Who invited you there? Did you request to go there to speak? Were you sent there by the Mosquito campaign team? How did you end up going there?
The Thursday invitation, as I told you, on Thursday they invited me. It was the producer, and for the record, they had been chasing me for more than three or probably 4 months for me to appear on their program, and I've always turned it down.
What was the reason for turning it down?
Well, I've not had the time, and secondly, I wasn't really sure about, going on his program. It was my first time in his studio, in their studio. It was my very first time, So it was a producer who extended an invitation, and this had gone on for months. He would check on me from time to time to see if I was available, and I'd alwait down for personal reasons. So the only time that I accepted to be there, they did things that clearly, fed into my initial thinking that it wasn't worth my time, So the producer invited me on Thursday, and I told him, since they have allowed Chairman Ampofo to speak from 8:30 till about 11, they should allot equal time for Asirin Ketia, which they agreed. But unfortunately, the next day, which was Friday, Asirin Ketia hinted to me he wasn't going to be able to make it. And I called them and said, look, the candidate can't come. If it's okay with you, I would come and speak for him. And I specifically asked them, is it going to be just me? They said yes. So I was taken aback to be asked to come offset, midway to the program for somebody else to come and sit in. And the worst part is for me to be a guest on a program and to have somebody whom he claims is a journalist sit next to me and pass, ignorant remarks.
So let's
take consolation in the fact that all their attempts to derail our focus and attention failed, because we won the elections convincingly.
Do you think this was planned, Ras? Do you think this was planned? Do you think? Because first of all, let me kick back a little bit. You said you said a while ago in a response that you didn't respond to the invitation to go on his program, and I heard an emphasis. Maybe it was just me, but I heard an emphasis on his. What do you find wrong with Captain Swan?
I have nothing personal with him. It's just that I pick and choose which stations I speak to, Ordinarily, I would not leave my house to drive to a station, to sit down to be interviewed unless I know it's worthwhile. I have nothing personally against him, but I didn't think it would add anything to me if I didn't appear on his program.
I see.
So for about 4 months, 3 or 4 months, I've always turned down an invitation to be on the program. But every guest.
Now, do you think this was planned? Do you think this was like a rehearsed attempt to derail you from the message you were there to give, and possibly to even go further to create a dent in your image and in the image of the candidate you were there to represent?
Well, I think there was an attempt to get me to react in a certain way, so that the impression is created that Asirin Ketia and his people, because I heard him say that I'm a disgrace to Asirin Ketia's campaign, and I thought that was ridiculous. This is a so-called broadcaster who's been sacked before. In my entire life in broadcast journalism, I've never even been queried before. You know, I've distinguished myself very well, you know, in whatever I do, you know. So, on hindsight, it was calculated, you know, to derail our campaign. But hey, I mean, we knew what we were there for. We weren't going to allow somebody to, you know, derail the message that we were there to deliver.
Russ.
And I'm sure you have subsequently seen the verdict out there. The people listening and watching and reading are very, very discerning. And anyone who's watched the video would be pretty upset about the conduct of a presenter. I never even said I was going to walk out. For you to invite me to appear on your Tinpot program, only to say that if I want to leave, I should leave. You know, it's as if, you know, the program is so relevant that if Ras Mubarak doesn't appear on it, you know, that's the end of Ras Mubarak's career.
I mean,
Ras Mubarak doesn't need
let's
to be,
just create a level playing by saying that if it wasn't of any value, you would not have gone there. But that said,
no, on any day,
I
can share text messages and WhatsApp messages that go several months with the producers. I didn't think.
You were not there for yourself, right? You were not there for yourself. You were there for the campaign.
You know, on any other day, I would not wake up and want to go to.
I get that.
To be honest,
I get that. The point I'm trying to make, and I'm just making that point for equity, is that on the campaign sent you. You didn't go there for yourself. So let's say it was on the itinerary of the campaign, and you were chosen to go there to go speak. But that said,
it wasn't even on the itinerary of the campaign. It was they had said, you know, that, and you see, okay, so I was on Joy FM on last Thursday, and when the producer saw my status, because I had put out the invitation to be on Joy FM last Thursday, he said, "Oh, Chief, but you are in town and you didn't even tell me you are in town. Joy and TV3 are not far from each other. Would you be happy to pass by, you know, after your interview on Joy," which ended at 8 p.m. anyway, and their interview was supposed to start at 9, at 8:30, you know, and because I had turned down invitations to be on their program severally, I thought, I mean, this wouldn't hurt. But it wasn't an item on the itinerary of the campaign. And we had impressed on Asirin Ketia to come because they had invited Chairman of Uzapofo. Otherwise, I don't think he would have added anything to our program, our campaign anyway.
I see.
I mean, the people who are voting had already made up their minds by the time that the interview took place.
Yes.
You know?
Yes, but from my experience with how political machinators work, they could be looking at a longer term goal. So I'll just leave that at that. Who knows? Maybe just to, like I suggested earlier, maybe just to create a dent in your image. Who knows? But
I don't want to conjecture. You know,
well,
I'm not
me neither. I'm just saying.
They know why they did what they did, and for me, it doesn't take anything away from me.
Great.
You know?
But let me ask you though, Ras. So now you the narrative out there, and let's try to at least prune it if we can't totally cure it. But the narrative out there was that you had a certain body posture that was disrespectful to the staff, and you referred to her as a makeup artist. I don't see what's wrong with a makeup artist. I don't even know how that's an insult, but the narrative is that you were looking down on her by calling her a makeup artist.
To be honest, if I knew she was a presenter, I probably would have used a lot more stronger words than I used, because that even makes it worse. Because if she is a presenter, she should know that as soon as the red light goes on, and I mentioned this earlier, Quincy, you've been in this business from the 90s, right?
Yeah.
You know, as soon as the red light goes on, you expect silence in the studio. You know, and this wasn't a recorded interview. This was a live broadcast. You know, so I struggle to see. It's inexcusable to have a guest in the studio and then somebody is sitting there, whether a makeup artist or a journalist. What's wrong with a makeup artist? Is a journalist better than a makeup artist?
Good question.
So to say that because I referred to her as a makeup artist, he's mad. You know, that even shows his disrespect for makeup artists. Without the makeup artist, would people look nice, you know, on set? Because I met her in the makeup room. When I went to the makeup room, that I met her there. All right, she wasn't the one who did my makeup, but I met her in the makeup room. And so I thought, you know, probably that's where she worked. You know, I didn't know she was a presenter. And indeed, if she's a presenter,
to me, it's inconsequential. The only reason why it would be consequential would be that your body posture, like they said, would have suggested that you were looking down on makeup artists, or you know, you're looking down on that particular lady. But let me ask you again. So I mentioned earlier that he said the comments were being made over the intercom. I struggle to figure out how the lady or you, in fact, could be hearing, you know, something that was being said to him on the intercom for you to react. Because the way the intercom works,
I didn't even
the guest doesn't hear what is being said to the host, to the best of my knowledge.
Well, it tells you that he doesn't even know what he's talking about. It tells you that he doesn't understand the typical broadcast settings, and he thinks, you know, the people out there.
No, I think he does. I think he's just being disingenuous. I think he.
No, he thinks
he's what the broadcast
people out there are as ignorant as he is, because if you know that the people out there are discerning, you wouldn't say those kinds of things. You know.
Wow. So, Ras, has any apology been offered to you by the station, by anybody at all?
Yes, his superior, his managing director sent me a message apologizing for his conduct. And to be honest, I wouldn't have done my Facebook Live, but for the fact that after the apology, I heard he went on air the morning that the apology was sent to me, he went on air and lied further, and that got me irritated. And I felt, look, I needed to put things in proper context and perspective and put out what the facts are. And the facts are that his conduct is irresponsible. The facts are that, you know, he's been very unprofessional. The facts are that what he's done has dented the credibility of the station he works on. I mean, if they are minded by public opinion, they should go online and read what people are saying, you know, about his action.
Yeah.
Because we in broadcast media ought to take into consideration, you know, what the public, the people we are serving, what they say. And the verdict out there is terrible for them.
Anyway, thank you so much, Ras. Really appreciate your time. Before you go, though, the NDC has spoken loudly. They've elected their, officers for the next 4 years. You know, the ladies and gentlemen who are going to handle the affairs of the NDC. Looking at the faces on that final sheet, the NDC seems to be making a statement. What is that statement, Ras?
The statement is that we are ready to campaign forcefully and to win power to save our country from the doldrums. The statement is that we have the men and the women, and indeed if you put our officers and their officers toe to toe, take our women's organizer for instance. She's been a member of parliament, she's a doctor, she's been in politics longer. All right, take our national chairman. He's been MP for 12 years. He's been a minister, a deputy minister. He's been a ranking member in parliament. He has been the longest serving general secretary of any political party in our country. You know, he's been a bank manager also before. Compare him to Stephen and Tim. I mean, the pedigree, in terms of their political gravitas, the pedigree, you realize that by any stretch, Ashidi Keke is miles ahead. Take take the general secretary and their general secretary, and with all due respect to lawyer Justin Kodui, Fifi Kote has been in politics longer. He's been a cabinet minister, he's been minister for agri, minister for transport, he's been deputy minister for finance, he's been member of parliament for 2 terms, he's been a communicator for the party, so he punches above his weight. Take the national organizer. Yamin has been around for a while. He's been deputy minister in Ashanti region, deputy minister of sports, compared to their national organizer, Nanabi. Take the communicators. I mean, Sami Jafi is solid, and congratulations to him today as he ties the knot. So officer by officer, toe to toe, pound for pound, people are well versed in politics and in the national affairs of our country. And the exciting thing is that the people you elect to represent your party should also be people who understand the workings of government, people who've been in government, who understand, how government should run. So when they get to bring their party to power, they are able to help the executive arm of government fashion out programs that are beneficial to the masses. Currently, what we're seeing in our country, the president can't even sack his finance minister, and nobody in the party tell him that, Mr. President, you are wrong on this. I mean, you don't run a party in a country like that. So the message out there is that we're serious about winning the next election.
Great. Thank you so much. Did you have any disappointments in the? I know your candidate won for chairman, but you may have had your other preferences down the line. Did all of your preferences win?
We've had a very solid team. All of the officers who have been elected are solid. They're capable of helping deliver our country from the jaws and claws of the MPP, which has performed abysmally. Currently, as we speak, and as you know, our country is officially bankrupt.
Yeah.
We can't pay our external, creditors. We, even domestically, we're struggling. So what you need is a team of experienced people in a party like the NDC, which is in opposition and fighting to come back to power, which can harness all the energies of party members and even non-party members to bring us to office. And the crop of leaders we have elected are very, very solid.
All right. Thank you so much, Ras Mubarak, former Member of Parliament, Kumbungu, and former CEO of the National Youth Authority. I'm sure I got that right this time, Ras.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Akwesi. Thank you. And keep warm. I understand it's pretty cold out there. So you keep warm.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Have a great day. This has been MixMixx. My name is Kwesi, the son back home. I come in peace. I come not to please. I'll see you next time with another episode. Have a good time. Goodbye.
Hello, you're from Yajua, Mifri Ghana. Are you looking to invest in real estate in Ghana, or simply looking to buy your dream home in the motherland? Do you want hassle-free, no litigation property buying on prime real estate? Follow me. I present to you Royal Omnical Properties. At Royal Omnical, we sell houses and other real estate. This is what we do. Our rooms are built with you in mind and fitted with the state-of-the-art amenities. Call us now on +233-26711-3682 or +233-20-074-6821. Royal Omnical Properties. We are your peace of mind.